When it comes to sisters, it rushes through most of the sisters' struggles and even the crimes they commit, or at least try to commit. And it honestly feels more like a shrunk series than it does a movie half the time. So to summarize the film, after their mothers got shot, Tara, Tia, and Diamond got raised by their grandmother Pat. They technically may be cousins, but they are treated as sisters. And at 33, Tara's the oldest, and she's a cop. Tia's the middle child who works in cosmetology, and Diamond, she seems to be trained to be a fighter, but from what we're told, beyond trying to be a fighter, she has never held a job. This becomes a major problem when they find out that Pat has cancer, and between Tara just recently becoming a cop, Tia working part-time, and Diamond not having a damn bit of change to her name, how are they going to help Pat, who doesn't have insurance, get chemo and survive is hard to answer. Now, Diamond's trainer and best friend, who also has a crush on her named Kevin, has some ideas, mostly in robbing people, but it's hard to say with Diamond's lack of experience, Tia's lack of experience, and Tara just really starting to learn how to handle a gun, whether or not these ladies, Kevin, maybe even Diamond's boyfriend Trey, who is actually a thug, may be able to get the kind of money and even stay a cohesive unit long enough to keep Pat alive. So let me begin with the highlight, which is, while storyline, character development, dialogue, performances, none of this will win anybody an award, at the same time, it's strangely engaging. You get really invested in these characters, and maybe it's because since this film doesn't feel like it's that polished, it comes off raw in a way that makes it so it doesn't seem like it's gonna follow tropes or follow the type of storylines you're used to hearing. And with that, it makes you wonder what's gonna happen next. Are we gonna learn about this situation with this character or that character? In just the guessing game, compared with characters or rather actors who you might be familiar with, like Lil Mama, you want to see where things are going to go ultimately, and whether or not this is going to end up on a happy note, if it may end up in some sacrifices, maybe be kind of like set it off in a way. You just want to know, how is this ultimately going to end? Which leads to the low point, and that is just anything worth noting with this movie, either the film rushes through it or it doesn't really address it that much. Like, for example, it's known that Tara, Tia, and Diamond's mothers got killed. Where their fathers, not really some really gone into at all. When it comes to other family members who beyond Pat that could have helped or take care of them, not really mentioning when Pat gets cancers, like there's nobody else in the family. Pat was an only child. What about her husband's family? Why is it just on Tara, Tia, and Diamond to do everything? And maybe that's just me overthinking, and that's why I'm asking these questions, but I don't know, something about that just was annoying. And then when it comes to the heist, a lot of them, they're planned off screen, so you don't really understand how exactly is A, B leading to C. Like, you get the idea that the whole point of all this is that, hey, they're stealing money to take care of Pat's medical bills, but they somehow rob someone in this Asian mafia, and you're just like, where did that come from? And then that person is threatening everybody's lives, and eventually things just get so hectic to the point where it's like people are dying left and right, and you're just like, what's the best way to put it? After a certain point, it feels like the movie isn't trying to maintain its audience based off of the quality of the movie, of the story, characters, and like that. Instead, it just wants to hook you by what happens, and because people die left and right, it wants to hook you in based off of the question, who's gonna die, rather than who's gonna survive and potentially thrive by the time this movie is over. Which leads to the on-the-fence topic which is just how this ends. It ends on a cliffhanger where you don't get a resolution, you don't get some type of idea of what ultimately happens. For one character, you know what happens, but for the rest, based off of what happens in the end after this grand heist, it leaves you without knowing, and there's no type of montage or anything like that to give you an idea. There's just a phone call made to you don't really know who. So that's really frustrating after spending, what was this movie, like an hour and 30 minutes, which granted, compared to a lot of movies that for some reason want to push to be 2 hours, that's not that long, but still, without commercials, that's a lot to invest without some type of satisfying conclusion. Which is why, overall, when it comes to Sisters, it feels reminiscent of the movies in the past that you would get at the bargain bin, get out of a bargain bin at either Walmart, Blockbuster, or another store. But I wouldn't say it qualifies as being so bad it is good or not getting the type of marketing it deserves. For I don't think any of the potential it has got realized, and I think for a lot of the decisions made, they were made because it didn't trust its audience enough, so it just threw in things to make sure that they couldn't get bored.